We're ready to take a look at section 14.2. So we've been in 14.1 learning different voting methods, so how to describe or how to pick a winner of a ranked voting system based on different criteria. So we've learned 4 methods in that section. What we're going to talk about here is analyzing those different methods a little bit, and we're going to look at these criteria which talk about fairness. And so these are different criteria that mathematicians have come up with to try and describe what would a fair system have, what types of properties should it have. So we call them different criteria. And we're going to study 2 of them. There are lots of these criteria out there that exist, but we're going to look at 2 in particular for our studies. And the first one we're going to take a look at is called the majority criterion. So as you can tell, it probably has something to do with majority. So what this criterion says is it says if a candidate has a majority of first choice votes, and notice, it is a majority, not just a plurality. So remember, the difference is majority specifically means more than half, not just the most. So this really is an if. This person might exist or they might not exist. So if a candidate has a majority of first choice votes, then the criteria says that candidate should be the winner. And it kind of makes sense as a fairness criteria, right? If a majority of people in the system think that a particular candidate is the best candidate, that it's preferred, then we should declare that winner, that candidate the winner overall in the election. That's at least what this fairness criteria says. Now you can agree with the criteria or not, but that's what it says. So what we typically talk about with fairness criteria is either in particular examples satisfying the criteria or violating the criteria are kind of the 2 words that we use. So to look at this one, so this criteria, the majority criteria, I guess criterion, is violated. So basically you break it if a candidate does have majority but does not win. And I'll say in the example. What we end up seeing is that it depends on which example you're in, whether you're going to satisfy the condition or violate the condition. So to violate it, there actually has to be a candidate that has majority, and then that candidate was not elected the winner. Someone else or some other candidate beat them. That's the only way to violate this criteria. So that means that there's a couple ways that we can satisfy the criteria. So it's satisfied if someone has majority and wins, right? So if there is someone with majority and they win, then that's exactly what this criteria said it should happen. So it will be satisfied then. Or, let me write that a little more clearly so you can read it. There's one other way to satisfy it. It is satisfied in an example where no candidate has majority. Kind of a way to think about that one of why that's true is it's sort of like the criterion just doesn't apply in that situation. So when we think about this situation where no one has majority, the criterion doesn't specify who should win. So no matter who wins, we have not violated the criterion. So there's two ways to satisfy it. Either the person who does have majority wins, or there's just no one with majority, which does happen quite often. So the only way it's violated is someone actually has majority and does not win. So what I want to do is take a look at a particular example and ask some questions about this majority criterion. This example, I didn't write down the full question statement. It's on the worksheet for this section. So I'll read it now. It says, a restaurant gave a poll to its customers to rank which was their favorite omelet. The options being Western, bacon, and ham, which we've just represented with a W, a B, and an H. And then the results are organized in this preference table, which I did write the preference table up here. So again, you can have that worksheet in front of you so you can reread the question statement, and then we're going to take a look at the different parts of that question. So the first question that it asks is, did anyone have majority? So did any omelet have majority? Well, to answer that, we'd have to know what is majority. Now again, remember, majority is something very specific. It's not just most, it's more than half. So we would first need to know the total number of voters. If we remember back from our previous section, our total number of voters, we have to look at how many ballots of each type were cast and then combine all those together. So we have 60 and another 25 and then another 15. And so if we do that, 60 plus 25 is 85 plus another 15 is 90 and then 100. So then majority is, we would take that 100 and divide it by 2, which is 50. And then remember, you need more than that. So we would need at least 51. So at least 51 for majority. And then we can take a look at, does anyone have majority? Well, taking a look at first choice votes, we can see that Western actually has 60. We could just stop there. Let's just finish them for the sake of being thorough. The other one on the top is B, so bacon, has 25 and another 15, which is 40. And then ham is not listed first on any of the ballots. So ham has 0 first choice votes. So does anyone have majority? The answer would be yes. Western has majority. So what we're going to do next then with this example is start to look at a couple examples of voting methods that we could use to look for winners. And according to this majority criterion, to be fair, the system should declare W as the winner because W has majority. So let's try and take a look at a couple different examples of how we could try and find a winner. So let's look at, say, part B. And again, you can read it on your worksheet, and I'll kind of give a summary here. So the part B wants to find the winner using board account. So let's take a look at how to do that and remember how to do board account. We remember the count kind of cues us in that we're doing points. And so this is our points system. Or what we're going to do over here is we're going to award, remember, 0 points for last place, and then we work our way up from there. So 1 point for second place, and then 2 points for first place here. And we count up points for each individual candidate. So we can say, figure out the points for Western. Well, as we look at Western, working our way across, we see in the first column, it's on the first choice, so it's 2 points, and that was worth 60 votes, because there's a 60 above that column. Seeing W in the next one is last choice, so 0 points times 25 votes. And then in the next column, it's in second place, which is worth 1 point for 15 votes. And I already did that in a calculator, but if you do, you get 135. So you're just typing in those multiplications and then adding them up. Let's do bacon next. So B, in the first column, bacon is second, so it's worth 1 point. And that column was 60 votes. In the next column, bacon is first, which is worth 2 points. So that's going to be for 25 votes, so 2 times 25. And then another 2, it's first in the third column, times 15 votes. If you add that one up, you get 140. And then for ham is in third place in the first column, so 0 points times 60. It's in second place, worth 1 point in the second column, so 25 times 1. And in the third column, it's also in last, so 0 times 15. And that one only got 25 points, because it just only earned points in the middle one. So then we look for who got the most points, and we see that the highest point total was 140. So B wins with 140 points. So when we do the board account method, B wins. So our next question that we have, part C, asks, does board account violate the majority criterion in this example? Does board account violate the majority criterion in this example? Well, we first then have to go back and think about, did anyone have majority? And the answer we answered that was yes, W had majority. The Western omelet has a majority of first choice votes. So the criteria says, to be fair then, Western should be the winner. So when we look at the results of board account, was Western the winner? Well, no, they lost to B. They lost to bacon. So yes, this would be a violation, therefore, of the majority criterion. So yes, board account violates I'm just going to abbreviate majority criterion as MC, and I did board account as BC. So board account violates the majority criterion because, let's explain why. W had majority, but lost to B, lost to bacon. So we had a candidate that did have majority, but then they lost to a different candidate. So this is an example of violating the majority criterion. Now there's one last part to this question, part D. We'll squeeze it in here. It asks, does plurality method violate the majority criterion? And again, you can read the question statements on your worksheet. Does the plurality method violate the majority criterion? And we'd be talking in this example. So let's try and remember how to do the plurality method. Well, plurality, remember, just meant most first choice votes. So when we do the plurality method, we do those first choice votes, which we actually looked at over here. We saw that W had 60. We saw that B had 40. And we saw that Ham had 0. So then the winner would be whoever has the most, which would be W in this case. So W wins plurality, and W had majority. So the majority criterion is satisfied here. By plurality. So remember, we said there's two different ways to satisfy. Either the candidate who does have a majority actually is declared the winner by the method, or there's no one with majority, and so then therefore it's sort of automatically satisfied. So in this particular example, there was someone with majority, so it was satisfied when they were elected, satisfied by plurality, which did elect that candidate the winner, and it was violated by, in this example, board account, which did not elect that majority candidate the winner. This is a very interesting criterion. There's definitely different opinions on whether or not it is a good fairness criteria, but it is a fairly natural thought process where we're having this idea that a majority of people support this candidate most means that we should declare them the winner, but yet we also think that board account is a fairly decent voting system, so it's kind of interesting to see what's going on here. So what we're doing is we're really looking at this idea of trying to analyze and critique different voting methods. So we're seeing sort of this flaw, if you will, in the board account method, or at least a potential flaw that you could view it as, which we did see similar things then with something like plurality last time, where we saw some issues where plurality potentially declared someone a winner who the majority of people put last on their ballot. So that could be another description of a different type of criterion that we consider to be fairness. But this is our first fairness criteria. We have one more that we're going to learn, and we'll try out some other examples to see how they work.